day and welcome. This is Nation's Voice Star. My name is Angelo, your anchor. This is that same channel that keeps you updated on anything pertaining to the political system, the oriented polity in Nigeria as it affects the masses, and the welfare of the Nigerian populace. Thanks for joining us. Straight to the matter of the day without wasting much of your time. I have an expose. Of course, I always bring it to you before they happen, so you will know that we are serious, all right? Remember, I told you about the subsequent judgment of the Presidential Elections Petitions Court by the Justice Haruna Samani-led tribunal, all right? I also have something on Justice Haruna Samani. There is a controversy amongst the tribunal that presided over the petitions at the Court of Appeal. But that will be later. That will not be now. That will be in my next update, perhaps. All right. This is talking about the Supreme Court. Very soon, the hearings at the Supreme Court will start. And when they begin, there will be no less than 7 judges or justices to preside over the presidential election petitions at the Supreme Court. Of course, the Court of Appeal has 5. The Supreme Court will have 7. All right. So, there has been a plot, and we have exposed that plot. We'll continue to follow them, back to back until we expose all of their plans, their secret plans. What are these plans? You're going to be shocked with what I will tell you now, but you have to take it with a pinch of salt and believe it, because that is the main issue on ground. If we don't tackle this, if we have powers to, then we wouldn't be able to, delve into this matter or get to the root cause of this matter. What is it? There has been an exposed plan to appoint a compromised judge to head the Supreme Court panel of the presidential elections petition in the Supreme Court. I told you, this is the plan that Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his cohorts are into right now, and it won't go a long way, because we are bringing these plans to you so you will know what they will do before it happens. So there is a high possibility that this particular judge that I'm going to be mentioning in this expose will be appointed as the head of the 7-man panel of the Supreme Court to preside over the presidential elections petitions. All right. So when you hear his name, if they don't change him before that time, when you hear his name, you shouldn't be surprised. All right. Now, what am I trying to establish here? Listen to this from our files. I had to delve into sources that I have close to the Supreme Court, and people who know what is what, and this expose came out, kaboom. So please pay attention and pick a seat. Justice Inyang Okoro from Akwa Ibom State has been tipped to head the Supreme Court panel to decide the 2023 presidential elections petitions. The Supreme Court currently has about 11 justices, out of which 7 are expected to make the panel. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, and Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, and 1 other have allegedly recused themselves from the panel. The DSS DG, that is the Director General of the Directorate of the State Security, Yusuf Bichi, and his brother Sanusi Bichi have been allegedly into blackmailing and threatening the justices of the Supreme Court to keep Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, this is the expose, all right? And it's no longer news that Chicago State University has disowned Tinubu's certificate. That is basic. Please forget or mindless all those people who are, busy saying there is a third-party vendor and all that. Atiku Abubakar has made a move for the Supreme Court to accept evidences. New evidences, all right? That particular part of the petitions is becoming positive by the day, all right? And if they have agreed to admit new evidences, that means Bola Tinubu may not be safe if justice will be upheld, all right? But with this plan that these people have, bringing up Justice Inyang Okoro to be the head of this 7-man panel in the Supreme Court. If he is approved to be the head of that panel, there is nothing that will bring justice on board. I am telling you now, if Justice Inyang Okoro is approved to be the head of the 7-man panel of the Supreme Court that will preside over the ongoing presidential elections petitions, there will be no justice served that day or at the final hearing day, because Justice Inyang has been in different allegations over time. He is a compromised judge and should not even be allowed to be part of the 11 prestigious judges that are being are resident in the Supreme Court right now. This is why we are bringing this expose to you. All right. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but we all should put all hands on deck to ensure that Justice Inyang Okoro does not head the 7-man panel of the Supreme Court. Because if he does, if he is finally approved, if he does, forget it. All right. We are trying to be positive, so we'll put all hands on deck from our own ends to see how these things would work. All right. But this is the updates coming out from the Supreme Court. So you have to know that plans are being intensified for Bola Tinubu to be upheld, or for his victory to be upheld. Right? You have heard it from the expose that the CJN of Nigeria, or the CJN, Ariwola Olukayode, and another justice, and another one, 3 of them are trying to distance themselves from this whole petitions at the Supreme Court. Why? They have seen something. They have seen something, all right? But we all know that we cannot see Justice Olukayode Ariwola in that panel. He cannot be part of it, because if he's part of it, he is compromised. So he cannot be part. In fact, he's already compromised by being the CJN, so he cannot be part of the panel. All right, that is that on that particular update. On a sad note, let me not waste much of your time. Accused officer ASP Drambi Vandi has been sentenced to death by hanging for allegedly killing barrister Omobolanle Rahim last Christmas. Of course, that case has lingered for a while, and finally, justice has been dispensed, not submerged. All right. It was no longer news about the occurrences of a, let's say, accidental discharge or deliberate shoot of this ASP from the Nigerian police force to a very innocent and pregnant Omobolanle Rahim. All right. Now, during that time, no one believed the family, because the Nigerian police force was trying to uphold and cover up the officer. All right. But of course, the family took it up, and if not because the family was well-to-do, I don't know if justice will have been upheld. This is Nigeria. Please watch the video, confirm that he has been sentenced to death, and then I will tell you something about this whole case. Stay tuned. More details after the break.
The prosecution presented 11 witnesses, including family members of the deceased and team members of the defendant who witnessed the incident that day. The pathologist said Mrs. Rahim was fired at close range, and the armorer testified that 2 bullets were missing from the defendant's weapon afterwards. The ballistician's report was found to be inconclusive because the defendant's gun, upon examination, had some defects, as the bullet fragments retrieved from the vehicle couldn't be matched with the gun. But the court said the fault will not result in the gun firing itself, and that it was the only weapon fired that day. The court found it strange that the defendant, who was the police team lead at the checkpoint, was the only person that didn't hear the loud gunshot heard by the witnesses. The judge accepted the evidence of the deceased sister, who had gone on to hold on to the defendant's shirt after the shooting, as well as bystanders who pointed at him as the shooter.
The prosecution is obviously happy about the results of this conviction, and we hope it will bring a closure for the family of late Mrs. Bolanle Rahim.
The judge has done exactly what he has been sworn in to do, which is the responsibility to deliver justice in good time.
The court said the defendant didn't dispel the evidence that he was seen to have fled into a minibus, where he was dragged out from and taken to the hospital Mrs. Rahim was rushed to. Even there, he changed into a mufti and hid under a staircase.
The Spirit of the Lord directed me, and I know He didn't direct me. I did it on pro bono. All of us must not just cast astigation because we have one bad egg and believe all of them are bad.
my lord even went to the extent of considering the possible innocence of possibility of reduction of sentence of the defendant. But even considering his defense, it was still so watery that there was no other way than to determine the case in favor of the prosecution.
Despite the guilty verdict, the defense counsel says the defendant will consider an appeal.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Nation's Voice Tower, your most preferred YouTube channel. Now, have you noticed that the poor don't get justice in Nigeria? Yes, the poor, the less privileged, hardly, let me use that word, hardly get justice in Nigeria unless they have been, unless their own case has been taken upon by any activist, any important member of the NBA, or there was a miracle. It is very, very hard for you to hear that a poor man got justice at the courts in Nigeria, unless he is in that case against a fellow less privileged person, or a fellow poor man like him, let me use that word, or a fellow man like him that has nobody to fight for him or has no connection. That is when you notice that justice will actually be upheld. But if he is fighting against, or if he is having that case against somebody who is well-to-do, highly connected, or wealthy, there might be little or no justice upheld in that case. Now, in the case of Omobolanle and this ASP Drambi Vandi, that is justice. Yes, it is justice, because you can't just kill a citizen of Nigeria just like that and go scot-free. But justice was upheld not because there were no evidences. There were evidences, and her family had the financial strength to pursue this case. Not that they had bribed any judge. No, don't get me wrong. They had the financial strength and capacity to pursue this case. Imagine it happened to a poor woman on the street who sold goods, or who is a street hawker. Who would fight for her? How much has she made over time to pursue this case? How much has her family made over time? What name would her family have made to pursue this case? All right. We should change the judicial system in Nigeria. We should change the judicial system in Nigeria, because if we don't, these things will continue to be enjoyed by only the rich and the well-to-do. The poor will not get justice whatsoever. So, kudos to that Supreme Court, to the court, I beg your pardon, in Lagos, for, administering justice and upholding justice, all right? Only few courts can actually do that in this particular case, especially when you have a case against an individual of public service, all right? That is that. And finally, on my updates, lawmakers have invited service chiefs over to the Senate House for crude oil theft. In a plenary session, different lawmakers stood up to speak up about the incessant, problem of oil theft in Nigeria, especially in the south regions, all right? It has been an object of concern and national security, all right? And at the end of this, lots of lawmakers, including the Senate president, are, advocating for stronger ties with the United States. Hence, the reason why the United States Embassy were invited, to take part in this plenary session. Now, truth be told, if this government is really going to be positive at all, if they are allowed to thrive over now, they should delve into matters of utmost national importance to Nigerians and to the state. How? Security should be 1, unemployment should be 2, and then oil theft should be 3, amongst other issues that linger. All right. So let me allow you to watch this video where the likes of Senator Ned Nwoko from Delta State and other senators rose up the motion and went further to invite service chiefs, to come and answer and speak while there is a high rate of oil theft when they are resident in these places. Stay tuned.
The rate of crude oil theft in Nigeria formed a major part of the discussion in the Senate on the first legislative day of the week.
This figure marks
the senator representing Delta North, Senator Ned Nwoko, begins the conversation when he moved a motion on the urgent need to investigate the incessant crude oil theft in the Niger Delta region and its actors.
Statistical data which have been reported over the years, even till date, have shown that oil bunkering has brought Nigeria into serious socio-economic crisis, and this remains an intractable challenge to the Nigerian oil-dependent economy.
Some lawmakers attribute the illegality to a collaboration between security agencies and non-state actors.
The combined total of what you can cut away in drums cannot explain 100, 200, 300, 400, 500,000 barrels per day being stolen. It cannot. This is an organized theft, and those involved in this are protected.
However, the President of the Senate asked a joint committee of the Senate to summon the service chiefs on the issue. The committee is expected to report back within 6 weeks. Meanwhile, the Senate has embarked on the amendment of the National Social Investment Program Agency Act 2023 to move the agency from the purview of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to the Presidency. The Senate also called for an immediate deployment of troops and other security apparatus to tackle the insurgency and terrorism in Niger State. The decision was taken after a motion moved by Senator Sani Musa.
Recall that Madaka Gari, Maikujeri, Magami, Zungeru, Basa, Gusoro, Galadima, Nkogo, and Koki villages were all attacked with casualties as more than 46 people were killed, which also included 25 gallant soldiers, mobile policemen and other security personnel. Many civilians were killed recently, many others unaccounted, with over 2,300 displaced. More people displaced. The number of persons said to have been killed by bandits in Niger East and Niger State are over 475 between January 2020 to date.
Outside the plenary, the President of the Senate met with a delegation from the United States Embassy in Nigeria. He called for stronger ties with the United States.
Okay, that was the plenary session there. And we will, of course, watch and put our eyes on ground for when the service chiefs would come over and honor the invitation of the Senate. I would not wait, or I cannot wait to hear what they have to say over the oil theft that has been taking place in places where they have been stationed, all right? It is either they have a hand or they are, partly part of all this saga, or they are incompetent. So they have to choose one. Thank you so much for staying with us. I hope you enjoyed our updates. Before I call it quits, I would love to say, please like our videos, share them. Don't forget to drop a comment for us in the comment section. And then if you're watching me for the first time, please tap the notification bell as well as the subscribe button so that we'll get to link up when I drop a new update. From my table, I'm saying, see you next time. Bye.